everybody. If you're anything like me, when I first started gardening, I was so overwhelmed with things like, when do I start my plants? How do I know when to transplant? When do I know the dates to harvest? And so I knew right from the beginning that I wanted to start looking for something that would help me with all of that planning, which is essential to having a beautiful, well-functioning garden. And I came across Seedtime. So today I want to go over 5 features that I really appreciate and love about Seedtime and how it helps me run a market garden. Okay, this is what you first see when you open up your calendar. As you can see, I have my 3 crops. I have arugula, beets, bok choy. There is about to be a lot more because it's January and I am getting ready to insert all the rest of the crops for the season. But this is what we have so far. Over here in the settings, I'm going to click that. You can title it, but then this is the really cool part. I put in my location, my zip code, and then it has my growing zone being correct as 8B. And from there on out, it knows that my average last frost date is April 25. And then I can also look and see my average first frost for the fall time is October 15. And then it's also going to warn me when I insert crops. If I put them in a month that the crop probably wouldn't do well, it'll give me a little warning and say, hey, it's actually too soon. Your crop might be damaged because it's too cold or it's too hot. Now, if I come over here to the left bar, you can see I am on the calendar. This shows me what dates I seed things. It shows me when I'm preparing my bed, when I'm harvesting. You can see I'm seeding beets in March, and I don't direct seed beets, I transplant them. So I'm transplanting them out mid-April, and I should be harvesting and eating my beets by mid-May. Let's go ahead and add a crop just so you can see how simple this is, and this is all you have to do and it does everything else for you. So I'm going to add the crop arugula. Okay, it chooses my color. I can change that if I want. You can put in your varieties. Let's go ahead and do the Astro variety. You can choose if you want to direct seed or transplant. I'm going to go ahead and direct seed that. What is your crop type? And then let's schedule arugula. In the top left corner, it says arugula Astro. That's my first succession, and it's having us start that arugula 4 weeks before our last frost. It tells you, hey, you need to start cultivating. You need to make sure that the weeds are not in the bed. And I find that super helpful. It's just a little reminder that, hey, go check in on these guys and make sure there's no weeds, and make sure if you need to put a layer of compost or wood chips or whatever it is, you can go ahead and do that. And then, of course, it tells me when I'm harvesting. And I love, again, that I don't have to put any of these dates in. Seedtime has already done the work, that it knows the variety, it knows the growing length of those crops, and it is doing this for me. I can adjust if needed, but I hardly ever do that. Another feature that I really love is that I can easily add successions. This is super important in market gardening, but also in your home garden, to make sure that you always have carrots throughout the season or whatever it is. So in here, I can just click on these 3 dots. I can add succession, and now I have a second succession. Now let's keep doing this, and you'll see that it's also going to tell me, hey, it's getting a little hot. This warning will come up. Heat warming. The harvest of this crop may be compromised if your location has consistent daily high temperatures above 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's probably getting time to stop the arugula, and we'll pick that back up in the fall. Okay, so I have 3 successions, and I want to go ahead and show you. I can change the succession rate as well. If I go into harvesting, the succession Seedtime has naturally put it at 2 weeks, but I can change that. If I'm like, I don't really want to do that, or I want a bunch of arugula, I'm going to plant it every week. You can go ahead and do that. Another feature that I really love is that it has a journal, and you can see my calendar, and we go down to our journal. Now, I use the journal all the time. It is such a good place to just keep records that will help me when I am choosing different varieties or wanting to remember a certain pest or like things that I noticed my plants were doing. For instance, last year I put field notes, my red Russian kale got frost damage. The birds ate the butter crunch lettuce. I need to remember that I need to cover these more early on in the season. And my Mokum carrots didn't successfully germinate. So those things just allow me to keep good records. So as I'm going to plan for the next season, I can look back through my journal and see, okay, yeah, I remember that. And I want to make this little pivot or this change to how I grow my food in the upcoming season. I also go ahead and do this just when I seed everything. I like to keep it in this as well. If I want to look up a note about arugula, then I can see, okay, here's my notes. I obviously don't do too much with arugula, but I can go and see which row I planted them in and what spacing I planted them in. So I find that really helpful for me to just keep record of my garden. Another thing that I use all the time is over here under tasks. Now, luckily it's January and my task list is empty. That's amazing. But if I just go all the way to, let's go to April 1st, I am seeing that I'm overdue in two tasks. I should have been seeding my bok choy and my beets, but I missed those. So I'm gonna go back and do that right now. And then it tells me my weekly tasks. And then once I say, okay, yep, I've went ahead and I completed that, then it'll update and show me that, yep, you completed that task. And then something that I do at the start of every week, I will print out the task list. It comes in really good format and I can take that out to my garden and mark those things as I complete them. But you can also do a task filter, and for me, I don't really use some of these features too much. I always have my eyes in the garden, so I don't really need help knowing when to weed. I know when to weed. So if I don't want those tasks to show up, or if I am going out to the hoop house to seed and I only want to see like what do I need to seed that week, I can remove all the other tasks and then I can print out just my seeding list. So it looks like come April 1st, I need to plant those beets, I need to plant those bok choy, and I can guarantee you I have a whole long list by this point of what I'm seeding. Okay, the last feature I want to go over is the layout feature. It maximizes your growing potential. It's helping me plan everything so that I'm not missing space in my garden. For me as a market gardener, it's super important that I'm using every inch of my garden, and this is one way that it's really helping me to utilize that space. If I go over here, I have the garden layout. That's where you can actually make your garden. And as you can see, I have started entering my beds now. Of course, this isn't all of them, but my beds are set up to be the standard market garden size bed, which is 50 feet of length, and then the width is 30 inches or 2.5 feet, which you can see there. And then we can start adding our crops. So I click on this feature, and this takes everything that I inserted into Seedtime, and now I can just drag those into my bed, drop it, and then I am just going to say, hey, I've got a lot of arugula lovers. I need a whole bed of arugula. And how many seeds do I need to do that? Now, the cool thing is it won't actually let you go outside your growing space. So this is a lot of seeds. I need 15,600 seeds. Now, I direct seed arugula with the Jing seeder, which we can talk about later because that's a lot of direct seeding. but that's super helpful for me to know how many seeds I need. And then let's also show you beets. So to cover a whole 50-foot row of beets, I need to know how many seeds that I need to start in my cell tray. I'm gonna need 1,829 little transplants. I start all my beets from transplants. Let's, for the fun of it, go ahead and do that bok choy again. So I'm going to drag that and say, hey, I want to put my bok choy by arugula, and maybe I only want half a bed of bok choy. So I'm going to adjust this. And you can see that, okay, so for about, let's see, I'm gonna go 25 feet. How many plants would I need of bok choy? I love this feature. This is so cool. I need 50 plants of bok choy. That's gonna take half a bed. Or, you know, I can make it whatever size that I want and it will adjust from there. So sticking with that bok choy, where is it getting that spacing? If you go to your bok choy, this was our first succession, go to the dots, we can edit it right in here. We go to layout, and this is telling us our row spacing is set at 12 inches. Our plant spacing is set at 12 inches. This, I have it set to calculate automatically, but you can adjust that if needed. But I find that I just tend to keep them on. Again, just taking out that time of doing the math, this does it for me. Why would I not use that? All right, guys, I hope that was a helpful video. If you're interested in using Seedtime yourself, I would encourage you to visit the link below. This is the time to do it at the beginning of the year. They have a free account. I believe when you sign up, you get $5 off of anything in their Seedtime store. So hey, why not? Look at it, play around with it, and see if this is something that you would love for your growing season. Leave your comments, ask your questions. Have you used Seedtime? Do you know of other apps? I want to know, and I'm just grateful to be on this journey with you guys.